Hey guys, Hitman89 here, I hope you're doing great. Last week we covered the best single player games to spend 100 hours in, check it out if you missed it. And today, we're gonna be diving into the Callisto Protocol a year and a half after its rough launch. It had some performance issues, a few bugs here and there, including one where you would lose all your saves, so that's a bad one, and some other issues that made it feel like it really wasn't worth 70 bucks. But now that the game is coming to Game Pass, and since it's had over 10 updates, I thought I'd check it out again on Series X and PC in order to answer the following question. Is the Callisto Protocol good now? Let's find out. On this game, you're a space delivery guy and you get arrested for having illegal contraband on your ship. So you end up in a prison where some nasty experiments are going on, and shortly after your arrival, shit hits the fan. So now, you have to beat mutants to death with a bat for the next 8 hours. By the way, first thing you see when you launch the game is a user agreement, then you'll get a message asking you to buy the DLC if you want to experience the true ending, right off the bat. That's like if I asked you guys to subscribe as soon as you click the video. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, and please subscribe. So I beat this game on PS5 back in 2022, and for this review, I played it on Series X and PC, and I think we can all agree it still looks insanely good. It's also gory as fuck, and I love it. Seriously, death animations in this game are basically Mortal Kombat fatalities.
Fatality.
As you can see, the graphics are great. Too bad ray tracing costs more than 20 frames per second and there's no DLSS though. Oh, and for some reason, you can't change the graphics settings in-game. You have to go back to the main menu every time you want to change anything. Who the fuck does that? It's kinda crazy. Wanna hear something crazier? With ray tracing on, at native 4K, even with the 4090, the frame rate will occasionally drop below 60. Anyway, on Series X, even in performance mode, the graphics are dope, except for the shitty fire that just looks outdated and seems to run at 30 FPS, plus it kills the frame rate for no reason. Overall, my experience on the Series X was great though. Let's talk about the actual game now. The opening hour is pretty strong, it teaches you the basics while immersing you in this dark, gruesome world. The HUD is minimalistic, which is something more games should have, cause we don't need them to look like a fucking MMO covering the screen with all kinds of useless stats, right? So when you're done with the tutorial and shit gets real, you'll be squeezing into tight spaces, crawling through vents, and looking for fuses to unlock doors. Then you'll face one or two monsters that you'll have to club to death, which is fun. But you'll quickly get back to crawling through some more vents, you might get a shitty jump scare, crawl through another vent, and fight a bunch of these guys who will be nice enough to wait their turn. You'll be doing that for about 3 hours, until you get some firearms and a gravity gun. From that point on, almost every wall will have spikes on it. Oh, and what kind of prison has giant fans and grinders in the middle of every other room? No wonder everyone died. Obviously, the levels are this way just so you can use your gravity gun to grab these motherfuckers and throw them on the spiked walls, and also into grinders so you can get your 100% homemade shawarma. Overall, the Callisto Protocol feels more like a linear action-adventure game than a survival horror. It didn't scare me, not even once, and I'm usually a pussy. That's probably because it's full of shitty jump scares that you can see coming from a mile away. But even the ones I wasn't expecting didn't work either. This is basically my reaction to every jump scare in this game.
I'm scared to death. I'm frightened and I don't know what to do. I'm confused and I want to go home.
So that sucks, and the combat system doesn't help either. In other games, you have to keep your distance, shoot the enemy until you run out of bullets, and then freak out like a little bitch because you feel extra vulnerable, right? At least that's how I play these games. Here, you have a melee combat system, so you have to get real close to these monsters if you don't want them to just keep spitting acid at you. Which doesn't sound too bad, but here's the problem with the combat in this game. The moment you realize that simply holding the left stick to the right or left automatically dodges the first attack, and then flicking it in the opposite direction dodges the next one, the sense of danger disappears. At no point do I feel threatened, making the game not scary at all. When you add to that the super predictable jump scares and the repetitive level design, shit gets old. Let's get serious for a second now. If you're feeling a little tired, do not play this game. It'll put you to sleep in 2 minutes. All jokes aside now, you can upgrade your weapons and even unlock new ones using this 3D printer. You'll need some credits though, so don't forget to stomp every dead body you see to get that extra cash and ammo. Now you won't always have to go guns blazing. There are plenty of stealth sections throughout the game. There is even a blind type of enemy with super sensitive ears. If you make any noise, you're done. At least that's what the game tells you, cause in reality, you can take them out one by one, being loud as fuck, and nothing will happen. These guys will only react to you if you actually touch them, so they're useless. Another thing that's useless in this game is the manual save feature. It basically does nothing other than duplicating your last autosave. Now that won't bother you most of the time, but there are a couple of difficulty spikes in this game where you'll most likely die a few times, and before you enter the room where you'll face waves of enemies, you get to upgrade your stuff and collect a bunch of ammo. Problem is, no matter how many times you manually save after you do that, if you die or load the game, you'll be brought back to the last autosave, which is, and you probably guessed it, before you upgrade your weapons and collect everything. And that's one of the many issues that have never been fixed, which is a shame, cause it feels like they patched the game just enough to drop the season pass content, a paid DLC, and then they took off. In all seriousness though, if the Dead Space remake is too scary for you, or if you prefer a more melee approach, then you'll most likely enjoy the Callisto Protocol. It's a fun game, especially the first 2 hours. I thought the story was decent, even though a lot of people didn't seem to like it. The voice acting is also good, and visually speaking, it's breathtaking. I think it's time to move on to the verdict. Despite being a little too repetitive and failing to be scary at all, I enjoyed playing the Callisto Protocol and beating it within 8 hours, probably because I played it like an action-adventure game. It doesn't overstay its welcome, but it's definitely not replayable. Still, not a bad game to get for cheap, and that's why I'ma give it a 6 out of 10. If you can get it for maybe 15 bucks, or even better if you have Game Pass, definitely play the Callisto Protocol. It'll keep you busy for 2 or 3 days. But when you're done with it, you have to do yourself a favor and play the Dead Space remake and possibly shit your pants. It's worth it, trust me. And that's gonna be it for this review. I hope you found it helpful. Please don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you did, and consider subscribing for more reviews and game recommendations. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon.
I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare. God, I'm like, hey